This may or may not surprise you, but Wikipedia, along with Reddit, are the two most cited websites used by AI models. So even with this changing landscape, Wikipedia is still a really important website. And that's why I wanted to cover it on this show. Today I'm chatting with Bill Beutler from Beutler Ink. He's an expert in Wikipedia. And in this interview, he explains exactly how Wikipedia works and how businesses and brand owners can work towards having a presence on Wikipedia if that's something you want to do. And for a lot of businesses, that could be a really important part of your strategy to help make sure you're getting discovered both in search engines and by AI models. So this is a really interesting topic, and Bill explains in detail exactly how you can go about that process and some of the mistakes that a lot of businesses make that you don't want to make if you're trying to get onto Wikipedia. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Bill Beutler. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to My Way or the AI Way. I'm Scott Davison, and today I'm chatting with Bill Beutler from Beutler Ink. Bill, welcome to the show.
Scott, it is a pleasure to be here.
So maybe just start with a little bit about you. How did you get to where you are, and how did you end up being a Wikipedia expert? I'm interested in that story.
Boy, long story, but let's see. I started out as a journalist early in my career. I was in Washington, D.C. for about 2 decades. And initially, being in journalism, I was exposed to the blogosphere. I was a blogger as well as a journalist. They kind of merged over time. But this is like the early days. This is the Precambrian era of social media. So Wikipedia started in 2001. Roughly around the same time I started my career. And so I got into it. It was cool. And actually, the truth of the matter is the very, very first edit I ever made to Wikipedia was because the CEO of that public affairs firm I was working at asked me to, because I was the one person around the office who was always going on about Wikipedia and how fascinating it was. And so he's like, well, can you make this change? My friend, prominent individual, doesn't like this thing. And I'll tell you, the very first edit I actually made, you can go verify this on the site, was not to make the edit on Wikipedia. It was to go to like the talk page and explain what I was going to do, and then did it. And it worked out. And, there's a lot more since then, but you could say the rest is history.
Okay, that's great. And what about on the personal side? Do you remember what your first sort of non-work related edit was?
I was actually looking at my account because I had forgotten. So I was looking at it earlier today. It was to the page of the film director, Michael Mann. I'm a big fan of many of his movies. Men of a certain age, are big fans of the movie Heat. I am a fan of that film. That's probably what I was thinking about. So, I made a lot of edits while watching movies. That's kind of like a simple way to get involved.
That's funny you say that because I haven't made a lot of edits, but I remember my first edit to Wikipedia was a Point Break quote. I added a quote to the Point Break page. I'm
Awesome
a Point
movie.
Break fanatic. So it seems movie quotes bring people to Wikipedia, and why
Everybody's
not?
got a way in. Why not?
Yeah. So look, can you maybe just explain a little bit about how Wikipedia actually works? Because I think a lot of people have been to the site, but probably don't really understand what's involved behind the scenes. So yeah, at a high level, how does Wikipedia work now, and has it changed much?
Yeah, it does operate essentially the same as it always has. The core insight of Wikipedia way back in January 2001 was that many people working asynchronously across the globe in collaboration according to the same set of rules could rather quickly develop an encyclopedia. And so the founders, Jimmy Wales, who's very well known, and the erstwhile co-founder, Larry Sanger, he's a long story. When they were putting it together in the first place, they initially tried to start like an online version of a regular encyclopedia where they're to get experts to write and have editors vet it. And like after several months, they had like 8 entries. And so farm team of sorts for the articles that weren't ready for prime time, but like to get them going. And then what happened was Wikipedia just took off. And the other project called Newpedia just withered on the vine. And it, for the first like 5 years or so, it grew like, hockey stick. And people were just attracted to the idea. I say people, a lot of nerdy men, to put a fine point on it. A lot of the early contributors had technology backgrounds. They were programmers. So articles on technical topics kind of grew quickly, but it reached a certain critical mass. And pretty soon it was covering pop culture and history. And, to this day, the most active of the projects, most active subject matter is military history. A
Okay.
lot of those men, those nerdy men, kind of grew into the sort of guys who like read a lot of World War II history, and so that's a topic that gets a lot of attention. And
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah,
So how many, like, just to give us an idea, how many people edit Wikipedia and how many people will visit Wikipedia? Because I imagine there's a huge audience of people consuming it, but probably not that many actually contributing to it. Is that
yeah,
the
totally.
model?
Totally. Like most things, it follows a power law where you have a small number of highly, like active, like people who are like really editing all the time at the very top, and then a long tail of people who did ship in a little bit here and there, using some very very rough ballpark numbers. This is to give you a sense of scale. Don't quote the exact numbers,
Hmm.
but let's say that there's like 3,000 editors who are like editing every single day, and then you have another 30,000 editors who are editing like, every week. And then you have like another 100,000 people who are contributing at least once a month. And there you have kind of the distribution of that. But then to its readership versus its editorship, I think it's even more stark than that. Wikipedia gets hundreds of millions of visits a day, billions of visits a month, and it still gets a lot of edits, but it's many, many fewer. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And what's the traffic been doing with AI? I know a lot of websites are getting less traffic, even before AI started appearing more in search results. I remember Google was starting to sort of show Wikipedia results directly on the search engine landing page. But
Hmm. Hmm.
is traffic dropping on Wikipedia in terms of human traffic, I guess?
And oftentimes Wikipedia is behind, some of those answers. But yeah, not the same way I think that you're seeing publisher sites lose traffic significantly, but Wikipedia is not immune to the forces that are shaping our attention.
Yeah. Yeah. But you mentioned that a lot of the AI results are drawing from Wikipedia
Hmm.
anyway, which I imagine to be the case. In fact, I know it's the case when you do deep research because it gives you the references. But is there any way to sort of know how much information is being pulled from Wikipedia to provide answers in the AI models?
Yeah, there are a couple of really early estimates. They both come from one of these newly founded AI monitoring companies called Profound is the one that kind of has the most investment. It's the buzziest. And I've been having some conversations with their research team where one chart that I saw, and this is not like published, but it's, I can verify it, that anywhere between 5 and 15% of the citations on ChatGPT are to Wikipedia.
Hmm.
The numbers fluctuate as the model is being refined, being changed, and they're changing the weights. Like just like any Google search, right? They will change their weights over time as well. They put out a few months ago. They put out a different report that I think it was oftentimes over quoted as saying that Wikipedia was showing up in like half of all like answers, like citations, and so that I'm a little bit less certain of that one because I only kind of read the blog post about it. But having seen the numbers, so Wikipedia 5 and 15%, give or take, but it's also far and away the single most cited source by ChatGPT, with Reddit number two,
Okay.
but by a fair distance, and then LinkedIn.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So Wikipedia number one, Reddit number two in terms of cited sources. And of course, in terms of the model that it's been or the data it's been trained on, no one knows exactly what's in that mix, but clearly it's an important part of that mix. What about on the contribution side to Wikipedia? Are you seeing any AI generated content appearing, or is it still all humans that are editing Wikipedia?
I have a tip for your listeners who are interested to
Uh,
learn more, and that is to go look up Wiki Project AI Cleanup. So this is a brand new project that Wikipedia editors have started to kind of root out AI contributions. Wikipedia very much wants to be written by humans, for humans, and for robots. It's happy to
mhm.
write for the AI as well, but it does want only humans to be making the editorial judgments. And I
Yep.
will say this, however, having been to a couple of Wikipedia conferences in the last couple of years where AI, of course, has been a huge topic, I would hasten to add that Wikipedia editors are not Luddites. They don't hate AI or want it to go away. They just want to make sure that it is used properly. So I've been part of conversations about what is the right way to use it. And it's kind of the same way that smart business people use it, organizing information, helping make decisions faster, and that kind of thing.
Okay, but yeah, they're still very much driving it as a human driven, which that was the whole point of Wikipedia to begin with.
Right.
So that makes sense that they could. And how does it work? Can anyone go and start editing anything on Wikipedia, or is there sort of different levels of permission? Can you just talk us through that a little bit so people understand what processes and guardrails are in place to ensure the content is reliable? I guess.
I'm going to answer this in two ways. One's the general answer for anybody who wants to edit of their own interest, and the other one's going to be for, say, your audience of entrepreneurs and people who have brands that they want that they care about. The first answer for the broad public is yeah, you can go edit Wikipedia today. You don't even need a user account. If you can click on the edit button at the top of the page and open it up and make your change and hit publish, it'll be live as soon as you publish it. But kind of like, like playing like strategy games, minutes to learn, a lifetime to master. There are so many rules that outside people don't know about. So if you really want to be a serious contributor, it behooves you to do some reading up and create a user account. And, a Wikipedian is really anybody who decides they wants to be and contributes and helps to advance the mission of the site. Now, to the second part of the answer, if you are there on Wikipedia because you want to either promote yourself, or even if there already is a page about you or your brand and you want to make corrections to it, Wikipedia editors are super cautious about this. There's another guideline that a guideline that your listeners should look up. It's called conflict of interest. And, you can probably intuit from that term what they're thinking about. They just don't want marketers or PR people, of which I consider myself to be one, to go in and start like making changes. Like they think it's going to turn it into a puff piece. It probably will. They're not wrong about that. Even if you think that I'm just adding information that's true and accurate, yeah, there's probably some way that, you're not thinking about the way that editors will look at it. So what they want is they want us to actually go to the talk page, the discussion section. This was my very first edit was so on point. Was like, go to talk page, ask for somebody to make the change for you. And if the volunteer editor who reviews it thinks that it's helping to make the encyclopedia better for the readers, then they should make the change for you. Obviously, in practice, this is a lot harder than it sounds. Even if it sounds hard, it's harder than that, I promise you. But it does work. I mean, that's the way to do it.
And why is it hard, Bill? Is it that there's so many requests coming in that it takes a while for them to get back to you, or what's the main challenge?
That is one reason for sure. That there's an edit request queue on the site for conflict of interest requests, and I haven't looked at it for a few days, but it was probably somewhere between 150, 200 requests long. So there's just the backlog to deal with. And then there's just there's the complexity of making a meaningful contribution to an encyclopedia, especially one that's been around for almost a quarter century, where the rules are well developed, but I will also caveat that by saying those volunteer editors, they come from all walks of life. They have all different experiences and different knowledge, different levels of knowledge about different subjects. So if you want to contribute, if you have an edit request and it's on a financial topic, for example, there's not a lot of Wikipedia editors with real financial expertise. So they may be cautious about answering the request if they just don't understand it. Oh,
Okay. Okay. So there's a difference there. If you're making just a edit, a movie quote or a book reference or something, you
go
can
to
probably
town.
go and do that. It'll just go through. But if you're doing anything commercial with a commercial angle, either to promote an individual's profile or to
Mhm.
promote a business or a brand's profile, what you're saying is you're better off putting that through the official channels and going into the discussion. So specifically, where do you go to do that? Is it just a button on Wikipedia? Or?
Yeah, so this will get a little technical, but
Mm,
not too bad. When you're on a user page, or sorry, when you're on a Wikipedia article, a page, right, about a
mhm.
subject, look up at the top. There's going to be a link up there underneath the title that says talk. Click on that. And you can post an edit request by like clicking on a button that says add topic. Write out your thing. And then you want to put a little template at the top of that message. And so here's the most technical part of this. I think the most we'll get to here. It is
Yeah.
going to be, them squiggly brackets, right? Open squiggly bracket 1. Second open squiggly bracket. Edit space COI. Close up both of those two squiggly brackets and then hit publish, and it'll show you a template that says an editor with a conflict of interest has requested that someone review this, make a change. You can like click a,
Okay.
so you might wait a few weeks to get an answer, but you should get one eventually.
And it's more likely to stay live, not get taken down. So I was reading about this concept of notoriety and that something needs to be considered, I guess, noteworthy to either an individual or a brand or a business. How does
You're
that work?
circling the term. You're circling the term. It's notability. It is
Okay.
the term that's specifically, that is the term. It's also a guideline. You can look it up, the notability guideline. That is the rule or the test that says which subjects can have their own page, basically. It's complex. It is really like a multi-part test that endeavors to assess whether the subject has enough public notoriety. Not a bad word. It's just, it's not the specific Wikipedia word. Also,
Notability.
notoriety. Yeah, notoriety. Also, like Al Capone was
Yeah.
notorious.
Yeah.
Mother Teresa. I don't know. It depends, but
Notability.
notability. Who's, and it's a tough word because like I will talk to clients who would like to have a Wikipedia page, and it's a little bit touchy if I have to say, I'm sorry, you are not notable. It's just,
Yeah.
it sucks. So at my firm, Beutler Ink, we like to speak in terms of eligibility. It just has less of a value judgment, but it's not it's not the term of art. The notability guideline, basically, in a nutshell, you have to have a critical mass of media attention and it has to be in depth. It can't be like passing mentions or you got mentioned a little here and quoted there, added up, and now you're notable. It's really got to be like multiple professional journalists need to have written about you or your brand, why you're interesting, why you're changing the game, and why you are of sufficient public interest that this encyclopedia should. Why is this encyclopedia like? Does it have a U-shaped hole where there needs to be? Wikipedia is not doing its readers
Yeah.
service if they don't have you in there. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for reasons to cut you a break and go, he seems like an all right guy. We'll include him. It's just not what they do.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So for most brands, I imagine, especially most small businesses, they're probably not going to be eligible under that criteria because you'd
This is
have to
true.
have a backlog of stuff that's been written about you. But can you, if you do want to, if you decide you do want to be on Wikipedia as a goal, I guess, for either a business or a personal brand, an individual, can you sort of build up that media coverage over time with the hope that you'll qualify? Like it's a long-term play, I guess.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, and we didn't speak about this beforehand, I don't think, but I actually have just launched a new PR firm to do just this. So
Okay.
my firm Beutler Ink has been around for 15 years now. Most of the clients we work with are corporate clients that have established pages. And we do create Wikipedia articles for people, organizations that do have that coverage. But we turn away, I don't know, 85, 90% of inquiries because they don't have, like, it's not even worth taking the first step to find out. And over time, I just kept thinking, there must be a better way. And so with an industry colleague of mine, a brilliant PR strategist named Molly Lacronier, American like myself, we started a firm. The name, Scott, you're going to recognize this. We're calling it the Notability Company. So if you go to thenotability.co, we just launched it in September or October. And like the thing is, for many years, we would tell these people, you should go do some earned media. You should go have your publicist or PR team do this. But here's what we found out over time is just that the kind of things that are considered a win or a good hit in PR world are not what Wikipedia is looking for. They're looking for very specific publications and types of stories that you are right. It definitely requires, it's a long-term play, marathon, not a sprint, as we like to say. And truly, not every brand is actually built to get there. But if you are doing something interesting and you just need to get the right coverage in the right places, the Notability Company can help you.
Okay, great. So yeah, I can see for some businesses that could be an important part of their strategy to get them brand on there, but there's a bit involved. So definitely I'll include details for the Notability Company in the show notes. What about the scenario where you're working for a business, it's already got maybe you're working for a big business, it's already got a Wikipedia page and there's something you want to add or edit that's either needs to be updated or is factually incorrect. Is that
Mhm.
an easier thing to get through in that scenario, or are they still conscious of commercial interests?
Well, they're very conscious of commercial interests. In a way, it is still, however, look at it as easier to make uh, a good edit request for an existing company's page, so long as you have a good citation to go with it and the edit request follows, Wikipedia's content guidelines. It's way easier to do that than it is to try to like get a page created for a subject of like marginal notability. It is, well, it's not always easy. It's just way more there's way more opportunity in it. That's why we're asked about creating pages more than we're asked about improving pages.
Yeah,
But our actual work is a lot more, it's like, reversed, that a lot
yeah,
more actual improving pages.
yeah,
And as you say, for large companies, for publicly traded firms, that's really the kind of company we work with because they have the pages, they care about their reputation, and they also have the,
yep,
you know,
yep. And where do companies go wrong? What mistakes do companies make? Can you get blacklisted, or what's the worst case scenario?
You can. You have to try
Uh,
real hard to get really blacklisted. But the first thing that people do the most often, which is stepping in it, would be going to your page and trying to edit it directly. And like, I'll be honest, if you go and you just want to change one thing, you're probably going to be fine. Wikipedia editors really, really want you to, one, disclose your connection to your employer or client, and two, not make direct edits, but go to the talk page. Fact of the matter is, the first one is actually like by far more important. You can get blocked if you are making, if you're not disclosing. You might get a slap on the wrist if you are making direct edits, and your changes might get rolled back, and they might add a warning tag to the page as well, and that can be really hard to get off. But the real I've seen certain would-be clients who we often end up turning down, where they've created multiple accounts and pretended they were different people and tried to go in and make a bunch of changes. And if we see that's happened, we will usually back off and go, you know what? We would love to help you, but you've dug the hole too deep. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a big one.
Yeah, I remember I worked with a colleague, I won't name any names, but he considered
Yeah.
himself a bit of a celebrity, and he
Hmm.
had gone and put the Wikipedia page up, and a few weeks later, someone sent around the link and it had been taken down. And it was
Yeah.
like, what a slap in the face. You're not notable enough. That was a shot to his ego, but
Tale as old as time, or at least, the 24 and a half years.
okay, so I think businesses probably have a better idea now of how they can go about it if they do want to use Wikipedia as part of their strategy. And for the right brands, it probably
Hmm.
does make sense. What would you say for those businesses? Where's the best way to start, and what's the process they should follow?
Well, I'm going to offer up a resource actually, and it'll
Yep.
be on the website of my primary firm, Beutler Ink. It is called the Wiki Resource Library. If you Google our name, Beutler Ink Wiki Resource Library, you'll find it, or you'll find it on our website. And it is an ever growing repository of resources, both FAQs and how to's and guides to specific policies on Wikipedia that are relevant to businesses and to marketers. So, for example, I mentioned the Notability guideline. You can go read the one on Wikipedia, but it's practically an encyclopedia itself, and it is not written really with your interests in mind. It is written for the audience of Wikipedia editors. Within the Wiki Resource Library, we have our own version of it's an explanation of how the Notability Guideline is actually applied in practice, and what you need to know if you want to try. And so we cover a number of these guidelines. The conflict of interest guideline. What is a reliable source? This is another big question. Like, which sources can you use to verify information on Wikipedia, and which ones can you not? And so that's one's really easy to run afoul of, because there are all kinds of exceptions. And if you study up and you learn why those exceptions exist, you might go, okay, I get it. I see why they do it like that. But if
Yep.
you're a marketer and you know you've motivated reasoning why you want to get this thing on the page, this should be fine, right? It could be so frustrating if it's not fine according to Wikipedia's views. And we would like to help people stop banging their heads against the wall and be more realistic. And there's a lot you can do on your own if you read through that library.
Yeah, that sounds like a great resource, actually. So, I mean, if a listener's thinking, should I even have a Wikipedia page? What's your answer? Who should and who shouldn't have a Wikipedia page?
I have a small homework assignment to give your
Yes.
listeners, and that is to kind of go to your clippings, go to your all the coverage you've received. If you don't have that handy, you should build that immediately, or go to your publicist, your PR firm. Pull together all of the times that your organization has been mentioned in better publications, and with looking at all that, could you write a satisfactory overview of your company or your biography only using information in those sources? This
Hmm.
means can't use your own about page, can't use your own press releases, can't use anything that like you wrote and submitted, like an op-ed or a paid placement. And you also, here's another one that's even more pertinent these days, and especially relevant as we are on a podcast. You really can't use podcasts or Q&As. Like if it was like a reported podcast, like The Daily from the New York Times, that is a different story. But these, two talking heads or interview based ones. And the reason why you can't use them is because to a Wikipedia editor, the words coming out of your mouth or your CEO's mouth are basically verbal press releases. They're not fact checked. They're not verified. Wikipedia editors really want to cite journalism that has gone through a process, a layer of editorial, and hopefully fact checking. I mean, one of the big one of the big challenges here is everybody knows that the news media is not what it was 20, 30 years ago, not what it was when Wikipedia was started. Nonetheless, they're trying to make sure that they have only the best information, and this is just the way to.
Yeah, no, that's great. And my journalist friends will be glad to hear that there is still a value placed on professional journalism and reputable journalistic quotations. So there's still life for them yet. That makes sense. This is Bill. It's been great. It's really given us a good understanding of how Wikipedia works, but how it's still relevant in an AI age. It's like SEO. It's still there. It's still important. It's just that your brand will be
It's
getting
changed.
surfaced in different places. And for the right brands or the right individuals, Wikipedia could be an important part of the mix for building authority, even more important in the AI age, I guess. So thank you for your time. For listeners who are keen and want to learn more and get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So I would go to our website, BeutlerInc.com, BEUTLER.com, and you'll probably have it linked anyway. And if you don't have a page, but you're interested in exploring what legwork you need to do to get there, the Notability Company website is the Notability.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll add links to those in the show notes. There's some great
Cool.
resources. So thank you so much for your time, Bill, and good luck. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Bill Beutler. I'll include links to those websites he mentioned in the show notes if you want to get in touch or go and check out the Notability website, which sounds like a great resource. Hope you found that interesting. I certainly learned a lot, and I think for a lot of brands, that could be an important part of your AI strategy. Thank you for joining me on this journey to learn more about AI. Until next week, I'm Scott Davison, and this is My Way or the AI Way.